Welcome to Late Edition Sports. Very pleased to be joined by Hazleton native Joe Maddon, and first time we get to introduce you as the manager of the Chicago Cubs. How does that feel?
It feels really good, actually. Of course, I left a wonderful situation in Tampa Bay. We left baseball Camelot there for 9 or 10 years. But then I get to go to this really incredible organization with one of the two real cathedrals left in all of baseball, that in Fenway Park, where you're actually living in or working in a neighborhood. So Mr. Ricketts, Theo, Jed, the entire group, the players, I got a great coaching staff, so I'm really, really eager and excited.
Mentioned Wrigley Field. Is there one thing that sticks out other than all else that was the #1 factor in you deciding to take that?
Well, Wrigley, like I mentioned the story in the press conference. When we played there last year, I made a pitching change walking off the mound, and I had my gladiator moment, like in the movie Gladiator, where I looked up and I permitted myself a chance to look around and really suck it all in. It looked like it was in computer-enhanced kind of a moment. Everything was perfect, including down to this ballpark that could have been built, or was built right around 1900. So you got that thing going on, and beyond that, there's just so many special things about that there, playing in that city. The city itself is pretty magnificent. Also, history, I got to call Ernie Banks on the phone. I know Billy Williams. I know Glenn Beckert. He came down our camps in Port Charlotte. Eager to meet Fergie Jenkins. Of course, the more recent guys, Kerry Woods, et cetera, Rick Sutcliffe. So you got all this stuff going on there, man. It's there's just so much to take in, but it starts with that ballpark.
In Tampa Bay, resources a little bit limited financially. What is it like to be able to say that you now have a player on your team that was signed to the second richest contract for a pitcher in Major League Baseball history? Just how encouraging is that to have those resources in Chicago?
Well, it's nice. Obviously, when you have a problem, you're able to go fix it relatively quickly. Whereas with the Rays, we would have to grow our own. Like, you'd have to go out there and possibly draft a guy, grow him up in the minor leagues. And then also we did a nice job down there of identifying under the radar kind of guys, whether it was Ty Wigginton or Carlos Pena at the time, whatever. But now you're able to go to the more obvious selections, and John Lester's an obvious selection as an example. There hopefully may be some others. Jason Mott, really cool. Like, he's kind of the kind of guy we would have gotten possibly with the Rays. So you got all these different abilities, different levels, whether it's solid trade, solid free agent signing, acquisition, all these different methods that we can utilize here without any kind of like real limitations. It's different, and it's going to really be interesting to watch and follow.
I don't know how much you pay attention to the Vegas odds, but after that Lester signing, odds jumped up way 12-1 now to win the World Series, something that the team hasn't done since 1908.
Right.
In your introductory press conference, you say you expect to compete for the playoffs for the World Series this year. Mm-hmm. Your expectations entering the year, you said you can't just enter spring training not believing that your team is going to make the playoffs. What are your hopes for this team?
That's correct. I mean, you cannot, well, first of all, when I entered with the Rays, Devil Rays, there was a lot of building to be done there. I'm entering with the Cubs, where a lot of the heavy lifting has been done. So expectation-wise, you got a lot of young players, I get it, but all of a sudden you put John Lester to anchor a rotation, Montero behind the plate. The thing that's unique about this Cubs group is that they're very offensive in a non-offensive baseball era. If we catch the ball, we're going to be good. So my expectations are, you come to our first meeting if I could permit you inside, which I can't, I wouldn't. But we're going to talk playoffs and World Series from Jump Street. And I'm going to say like I'm believing it, because sometimes you do those things just to provide lip service to the group. You're supposed to say those kind of things. My concern is always that if you don't aim high enough, you're going to hit your mark. So by aiming high enough, which would be playoffs and World Series, I'd much rather take my chances that way.
When you entered Tampa Bay, they were a last-place team, Chicago a last-place team. Obviously a few differences like you mentioned. But is there any similarities in the approach that you're going to take entering a new situation, just the way that you manage your style?
Exactly, hopefully. I mean, exactly the same way. It's, like the commercial, it's not complicated. First of all, we got to get to know each other. And once we know each other, then you're going to trust me and I'm going to trust you. That's pretty significant. And the moment we start trusting each other, then if you have a good idea, I'm going to listen to it without pushback. There's going to be an open exchange of ideas. And then also, if you think I'm doing something wrong, You're going to tell me you're doing something wrong. I'm going to listen to you because I trust you. So beyond any kind of significant baseball, amazing thoughts or secrets we could provide, it goes down to really that. And once you do that, then all this other stuff falls into place. So for me, what I try to do with the Rays, what I did with the Angels back in the mid-'80s in instructional leagues and spring trainings, you build relationships, you create trust, and then we could have a decent exchange of ideas, and then you play baseball.
Somewhat on that note, I have to ask about Twitter. You have a huge social media presence. You're getting older. The players are staying the same age. How do you continue to connect with them, these players that are in their 20s, the Cubs, a bunch of young up-and-coming prospects?
Well, I mean, again, I was very bad at math. 60 is the new 40. Actually, it'll be 61 to be the new 41. Honestly, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I've been into like some different stuff for a bit, and I've often thought that if you don't remain contemporary, you'll eventually deem yourself unemployable. So, you know, you could disagree with computers or sabermetrics, or you could disagree with whatever you want, but at the end of the day, that's what's happening right now. So, to me, the best idea or thought, or what I like to do, is I like to morph together what I've learned, combined with what's going on now. Then you bring it. Let's do this. This is what's happening right now. So I think the group that fails to recognize the past or the future, at some point, you're going to deem yourself unemployable rather quickly.
What's the new Twitter name?
It's @CubsJoeMad.
Switch it up.
Yeah, well, I had to do that. I waited a bit. There's just so many different thoughts, and I wanted. You also notice Respect 90 underneath that. Respect 90. I almost had that in the Twitter handle itself, but what I wanted to do there is I really want to. Again, we're talking about the first thing in spring training. If I could just get our guys to respect 90 feet, running hard at 90 feet, home to first, first to second, whatever, first to third, and just understand that simple concept, you will become a better baseball player. And I think it's part of our responsibility to set a good example for young players. So again, somebody could show up for the first time in the Wrigley Field and watch the Cubs play. You might go 0 for 4 and hit 3 ground balls to shortstop. And if you run hard to first base every time, I want to believe that kid that's watching you for the first time is going to leave the ballpark with a good impression of you.
Lastly, real quick, I wanted to ask what sports in this area mean to you, mean to everyone. You grew up playing baseball and football, went to Lafayette for football. Just what sports in the Hazleton and northeastern Pennsylvania area mean?
They mean a lot, and I'd like to see more of it, actually, and I'd like to see more utilization of local facilities. For example, the baseball fields in this town are totally underutilized. And again, guilty. I'm not here all the time. I don't see it. I'm accountable to this not being in better shape already also, but we need to provide more opportunities for youth to play, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, and beyond that, the Wilson Center providing opportunities for the arts. We have such wonderful facilities here that are so underutilized, and I just think that, looking back, I couldn't get enough, and there was plenty of opportunity for me to play baseball all summer, basketball all winter, football in the fall, every year. And there was a bunch of grown-ups there to provide the way, whether it was mentoring, coaching, whatever. So my challenge to the area here, listen, if you want good kids here and you want kids that are going to stay away from doing bad things, keep them occupied. Take the locks off the fields, take the locks off the gyms. Let people go up to the Wilson Center and perform, and not just dust the seats off once a month just because it's a cool place. We need more interaction with our youth, and we need to, as a group of adults, provide that kind of leadership for them. It's all about leadership, man. You're never going to manage a situation out of a crisis. You're going to lead a situation out of a crisis moment. So right now, we're better, man. I'm driving up and down Broad Street much better. I'm really happy with that. I'm seeing the people in town, really cool, very happy about that. But now it's really time to step it up, man, because all of a sudden everybody's understanding that regardless of what language you speak, if your skin's a little bit darker than somebody else's, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get out there, and it's all about the children. All you grown-ups that have any prejudices built in, you've learned those, don't teach them to your kids.
Well, Joe, thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing some baseball greats this weekend, throughout the week with the auction and Cal Ripken tomorrow night. Good luck in